Karen made the biggest mistake of her life when she touched the wrong girl. A simple mailbox. Color turned into a federal-level disaster. She didn't know the girl she attacked was the daughter of an FBI agent, and today, in broad daylight, justice was coming for her. Welcome to Prodigy Tales. Hit like, share, and subscribe. USA Army energy only. Drop your city and tell me what time it is where you're watching the sun was sharp and bright over our quiet suburban street. The kind of peaceful afternoon where birds chirped on mailboxes and neighbors watered their lawns, completely unaware that chaos was about to explode right in front of them. It all began when Karen, the self-appointed queen of the HOA, marched across the sidewalks screaming that my mailbox was not painted the mandatory red color. I told her calmly that the rule didn't exist in the actual HOA handbook, but she waved a fake document in my face and declared a massive $20,000 fine. I refused, of course, and that refusal was the spark that lit the fire inside her. She stormed off, yelling that the law will handle you, and for a moment I thought it was just another Karen tantrum. Nothing more, but I was wrong, dead wrong. By noon, she returned with 2 wannabe HOA cops dressed in cheap uniforms. They didn't even knock properly. They just barged into my front yard like they owned the place. And before I could say a word, my 20-year-old daughter stepped outside, wondering what the shouting was about. Karen's eyes went cold, sharp, almost insane. And in a sudden burst of rage, she grabbed a hedge trimmer from her bag and slashed through my daughter's long black hair. The scream that followed shook the entire neighborhood. Strands of hair hit the driveway like fallen feathers, and my daughter froze in shock, clutching the back of her head with trembling hands. Karen didn't know she couldn't possibly know that my daughter's father, my husband, was a federal FBI agent with more authority in one badge than the entire HOA combined. I called him instantly, my voice shaking as I told him what happened. And the silence on the other end was more terrifying than the scream. He simply said, "I'm coming." Nobody touches my kid, and the line went dead. 30 minutes later, a black SUV pulled up, the door opened. And my husband stepped out wearing that stone-cold expression that only agents on a mission have. He looked at our daughter, at the chopped hair on the ground, and something in him snapped. He walked straight toward the HOA office, where those 2 cheap cops were lingering. Pretending to investigate, he grabbed the first one by the collar, slammed him against the wall, and the second one tried to intervene, only to be elbowed into the ground. Neighbors watched from windows, whispering, recording, some shocked, some relieved because Karen had tormented everyone for years. My husband didn't chase Karen right then. He was an agent. He didn't need to run after her. Instead, he pulled out his phone and uploaded the CCTV clips, the assault footage, and the fraudulent HOA fines into the federal system as evidence. Within minutes, the case escalated at lightning speed. Meanwhile, Karen, still full of arrogance, decided to make things worse by scratching the side of my husband's official FBI vehicle parked in our driveway, dragging her keys across the paint as she yelled she wasn't scared of anyone. But 3 houses down, a CCTV camera captured the entire act in full daylight, sealing her fate. By late afternoon, the first uniformed police unit arrived, their lights flashing across the homes, casting red and blue reflections over everything as Karen shouted lies, blaming us, claiming she enforced community standards, but for once, nobody believed her. Not after what she had done to a federal agent's child. And even though this day already felt unreal, full of confrontation and shock, I knew deep in my chest that this was only the beginning. Because once the system fully activated, once the FBI entered the scene, when Karen crossed the line, she triggered a federal storm. Daylight would expose every lie she ever told. She thought the HOA protected her, she was wrong. Today, the FBI was coming straight to her door. The neighborhood was still buzzing from the earlier chaos when things escalated far beyond anything anyone expected. The afternoon sun was still bright, casting long, clean shadows over the street as 2 unmarked black SUVs rolled in silently. The kind of vehicles you only see in movies when the federal government steps in. The engine shut off, and 6 fully equipped tactical agents stepped out wearing black vests, body cams, and comms gear. Neighbors immediately rushed to windows and porches. watching a real-life raid unfold in the middle of their peaceful suburban day. These weren't local cops. These were federal officers mobilized because of the evidence my husband submitted. Charges now included assault on a minor, destruction of federal property, fraud through fake HOA fines, and unlawful entry with intent to harm, all committed by Karen, who still behaved like she was untouchable. The lead agent lifted a bullhorn and announced, "Karen, step outside immediately. You are under federal investigation?" But instead of obeying, Karen screamed from inside that she was the HOA president and no one could arrest her. Her voice cracked with panic, but her delusion was still intact. Inside her house, she tried frantically to hide documents, delete files, and even attempted to escape through the back sliding door. But agents were already positioned there. One nod was all it took. And with a loud metallic crack, the front door was breached using a ram. Splinters flying across the entryway as sunlight poured into the living room. Cameras rolled as two agents pinned Karen to the ground while she screamed about her rights. But her words meant nothing now. Everything was recorded, including the illegal weapons she kept for self-defense against neighbors, the fake HOA fine slips she used to extort residents, and a small lockbox full of cash she had collected from made-up penalties. Every item added another charge to her list. Outside, my husband confronted the same HOA cops who stood uselessly near the mailbox pretending this was all a misunderstanding. He told them they were under arrest for assisting in unlawful assault and for impersonating enforcement authority. One officer tried to protest, but my husband simply said, "You should have thought of that before helping her hurt my daughter," and their faces went pale. By now, the entire block witnessed something they had waited for years: Karen's power finally collapsing in broad daylight. Parents held their kids close. Elderly neighbors sighed in relief. And a few even clapped as Karen was dragged out in cuffs, mascara running, hair tangled. No longer the tyrant who bullied the community, but just another criminal being processed. The agents walked her to the SUV as she muttered excuses, but the lead officer cut her off, saying, "CCTV doesn't lie," and that sentence hit her harder than anything else. Because she finally realized she couldn't twist the truth anymore. My husband walked back to our daughter, checking on her, brushing the remaining chopped strands from her shoulder, telling her it was over now. And as the federal convoy drove away with Karen screaming inside the vehicle, the whole neighborhood felt lighter, quieter, almost reborn. Sunlight warming the street like a reset button had been pressed. The war Karen started over a mailbox ended with federal justice. Everyone knew this community would never forget the day the FBI came to take down the HOA Karen who crossed the wrong family.